Alright, so last video I talked to you guys about how to grow your hair faster. A few things I wanted to clarify from that video. There was a point I made about putting food on your hair. I did not word that the way I wanted to. I was not telling you to never put food in your hair. The point I was making was to eat the food that you're putting on your hair, because putting food on your hair is only going to do but so much. You have to eat nutritious food in order to grow healthy hair. The second thing I wanted to point out was that a lot of people were saying that my growth at 4 to 5 inches was normal, normal growth. I believe my hair grows that fast because of the tips that I'm sharing with you. My hair generally grows slow, in my opinion, simply because on average hair grows a ½ an inch per month, which averages out to 6 inches a year. Anything under 6 inches a year is slow to me. Anything above 6 inches a year is fast hair growth to me. People that I know, friends, family, who grow hair, who grow more than an inch a month of hair. So that's fast growth to me. I know people who grow less than a ½ an inch. That's slow. So again, for me, 4 inches a year is not the average. From what I've researched, 6 inches is the average, and to me, anything under that is considered slow. So anyway, today we are talking about retaining the length that you grow. There are a few things you want to keep in mind when you're trying to retain your length. Number one, you want to sleep on a satin or silk pillowcase and use a satin or silk bonnet or scarf. Satin and silk prevent your hair from drying out, and they also prevent your hair from snagging. I hate talking with my hands. The point of using satin or silk is to eliminate that friction. Treat your hair like it is delicate. If you have texture like I do, which is very kinky, very coily, and I have a very dry texture, so sleeping on cotton is just going to tangle my hair. It's going to dry my hair. It is not going to help my hair at all. I sleep on a satin pillowcase. I also tie my hair up in a 100% silk scarf. Friction is the main thing that causes breakage. So you want to make sure that your hair is against something such as satin or silk where your hair glides. While we're on the subject of sleeping on a pillowcase, you want to make sure that you're not sleeping on the same side of your head. You want to rotate your position that you sleep or lay on when you're resting. You want to make sure that you're not laying on the same side of your head. Think of it like this. You know, when people lay their babies on their backs, babies tend to get that bald spot in their head. So same thing happens with our hair. If you lay on the same side of your head all the time, it is possible that you're cutting off circulation. And again, we want to increase blood flow, blood circulation to our scalp in order to grow our hair. I remember when I was relaxed, my hair on one side of my head would grow faster than the other. And my stylist informed me that that was possibly because I slept on the same side of my head every night. You definitely don't want to cut off blood circulation to your scalp, any part of your scalp. Another one people hate to hear, but it really is vital in retaining your length. You need to get used to your hair. You need to learn your hair. You need to learn what it needs based on how it feels. You know when you need a trim. I don't care who you are. If your hair feels brittle, dry, rough on the ends, you need to trim that off. But if you are keeping a regular trim schedule, or you're dusting your ends regularly, which I recommend and which I do. I dust my ends regularly so that I'm not having to take large sums of hair off. You know, when you trim, you're taking a ½ an inch or more off generally. If you're constantly dusting, you're getting rid of those single strand knots, you're getting rid of those split ends. Make sure you're dusting your ends regularly to prevent having to do major trims. Never allow your hair to ever allow your hair to dry out. Never allow your hair to become dry and brittle. That is a recipe for disaster. If you let your hair dry out, count on having breakage. Moisturized hair grows. I know that is one of them. Along with blood circulation to the scalp, moisturized hair grows. So you want to make sure that your hair stays moisturized and you do not go too long before moisturizing it. I have a very dry texture, and because I have a dry texture, just because it feels dry doesn't always mean that it needs moisture, because sometimes our hair can be moisturized but it'll still feel dry, is what I'm trying to say. But you know the difference between that kind of dry versus dry and brittle, where your hair is cracking and literally you can hear it if you rub your fingers through it. Like, if you can hear your hair as you rub your fingers along it, it's dry. Moisturize your hair. Moisturized hair grows. And it doesn't break, usually. Another one people hate to hear is finger detangling. I finger detangle. Some of you who do not enjoy or prefer not to finger detangle because it takes forever, maybe try finger detangling prior to combing out your hair, because with finger detangling you're able to feel the knots and then you're able to work through them with your fingers versus just snatching through them or snagging through them with a comb. Yes, it takes forever, but it's worth it. I'm trying to keep my hair on my head. If you don't want to completely finger detangle, at least start by finger detangling to get out those major knots and tangles and then work through it with the comb. Do not over cleanse your hair. Some people wash their hair 2-3 times a week. I don't really understand it. I mean, some people with scalp issues, dandruff, whatever the reason may be. I personally cannot wash my hair that often. Wash days are really, really brutal on your hair. For me, I wash my hair in twists, so that has cut down on a lot of manipulation as well as a lot of breakage. So understand that every time you wash your hair, you are going to experience some sort of breakage. So for me, I stopped washing as often. I now wash every 2 to 3 weeks. And that has, to me, significantly cut down my breakage. 2 and 3 times a week may work for some people, but with the texture that I have, my hair is super delicate and fragile, and I have to treat it that way. 2 and 3 times a week, that is a lot of manipulation and stress on your hair. I know some of you may use a lot of product in your hair and maybe using like silicones or whatnot. I get that. If you can stretch your wash days as long as possible, I highly recommend it, because that will save your hair. As much as I want my hair to grow, my focus at this point in time is not necessarily focused on growth. I'm focused on getting to know my hair and keeping it healthy, and I know the growth will come as a result. Play around with a few things to figure out what works best for your hair and what helps you to continue on the journey, because this is not an easy journey for some of us. Thank you for all your feedback on the last video. I really appreciate it.